Hi, I'm Kevin Deans. I'm a consultant chemical pathologist in Aberdeen Royal Infirmary. All the talk at the moment as far as coronavirus is concerned is the big question: when will a vaccine be routinely available, and will that get us out of the restrictions that we're in at the moment? So come with me now, we're going to have a chat with Dr. Roy Soiza. He's a consultant physician and he is principal investigator for the local arm of a large study looking at one of the coronavirus vaccines and looking at how effective it is. So pleased to be talking to Dr. Roy Soiza, consultant physician at Aberdeen Royal Infirmary. And Roy, you are the principal investigator for the local arm of one of the large coronavirus vaccine trials. Can you tell us a bit about the study that you're involved in?
Yeah, sure. I'm very pleased that we are testing the Novavax COVID-19 vaccine here in Aberdeen. So this is a trial where we are giving the vaccine or a placebo to hundreds of people from the northeast of Scotland and following them up with blood tests and swabs over the course of a year and trying to figure out if this new vaccine, this Novavax vaccine, actually stops people from getting COVID-19.
And how does the vaccine work?
Well, the vaccine works by training our immune system. So the vaccine contains a protein that is found in the SARS-CoV-2 virus, which is the virus that causes COVID-19. So the protein works by telling the immune system, this shouldn't be here, this is wrong, so that when the real SARS-CoV-2 is found, the body mounts an immune response that will hopefully prevent infection.
And when a vaccine has been tested, there's obviously a whole load of stages that vaccine trials have to go through before a vaccine is released for general use. What are the stages that a vaccine would go through as it's tested?
Sure. So it initially goes through testing in laboratories and then animals and then eventually in humans. So the first step is called a phase 1 trial, and that's done in a very small number of fit and well volunteers, mostly to check for safety in very small numbers. And once it's gone through that stage, it then goes into what's called a phase 2 trial, where there are bigger numbers, and that's the stage at which we try and figure out what dose of this vaccine needs to be given for it to be safe. We still wouldn't know if it's effective, but we can do things like measure antibody levels, which gives an idea of which dose is likely to be effective. So for example, for this Novavax trial, we know that a 5 microgram dose seems to be good enough to elicit the sort of antibody response that we see in people who have had COVID-19 already. So the vaccine that we are testing includes that dose of this vaccine. And the next step would be phase 3, where we again check for safety, but knowing that in healthy volunteers at least it seems to be safe. The current trial is a phase 3 trial. This is the first trial that will tell us whether the vaccine actually works in the general population.
So one of the questions and one of the comments that seems to come up most on social media is that question of safety. People having concerns, obviously, that a vaccine for a virus that we didn't know about a year ago, how can we know it's safe? It sounds from what you are saying that there is a lot of work done to ascertain the safety profile before this ever is released for general use.
That's right. I think it's fair to say that the vaccine has been through all the same stages as any vaccine in the past. It's already been given to about 2,000 people before it got to phase 3 trials. The difference is that everything was done a lot faster, and that's partly been because it's such an urgent public health emergency that the whole research mechanism, the whole research community, including myself, having been not somebody that had studied vaccines before, just turned into researchers for vaccine research because the public health emergency was so urgent. So all the safety steps are still there. There's still the independent medicines authority that will make sure that the vaccine is safe before it is given to the general public.
Now, very recently, the news pages on all the media websites were buzzing with the news of one of the other vaccine trials which had shown very promising results. And I guess the big question in everybody's mind is something is a vaccine going to allow life to return to some form of normality? And if so, how long do you think that's going to take? So what are your thoughts about that?
Well, firstly, it was fantastic news that the BioNTech Pfizer vaccine seemed to be 90% effective. At least that's their preliminary results, what their preliminary results are showing. So that is fantastic news. There remain considerable logistic challenges. So this particular vaccine has got to be stored at -80, and that needs to be kept right through from manufacture through to very shortly before it is administered. And if that's not kept up, it might not work. So there are very considerable logistic challenges that might mean it might take many months to vaccinate the entire population, and it's difficult to manufacture vaccines for absolutely everyone. So for that reason, there's still about another 10 or so vaccine candidates being tested throughout the world, many of which the NHS has already invested in the hope that it will be as effective, if not more so, than Pfizer. So I think realistic plan at the minute is to just start vaccinating people, hopefully before the end of the year, probably care home population and their carers first, then healthcare workers at the front line, and then progressively through to people over 65 that are at high risk, etc. My best guess, and it is a guess, is that will be done in the first half of the year. So I am optimistic, it's just a personal opinion, I am optimistic that by summer or autumn, COVID-19 will still be around, but it will no longer be a public health emergency. Hopefully by then it will be under control and there'll be much less anxiety and much greater freedoms than we have now.
It does indeed sound like while we're not there yet, there is genuine reason to be cautiously optimistic about what the future holds, and that's welcome news after a very difficult 2020. Well, Roy, thanks very much for taking the time to speak to us. I wish you every success, obviously, with the vaccine trial. We're all pinning a lot on this and looking forward to seeing some results in due course. Thank you.
Pleasure, thanks for having me.
So the prospect of a coronavirus vaccine is starting to look increasingly promising. Hopefully it won't be too long before a vaccine is available for routine use, and hopefully that will be our way to start to get out of the current restrictions that we're facing. We want to bear in mind, don't we, that there will come a day when we can look back on the coronavirus pandemic and we can talk about it in the past tense.